Hey, what's up everyone? This is Snackbox. Hope you all are having an amazing day, guys. In today's video, we're going to talk about the Fire Night tournament that started today. And one thing you have to pay attention to is that you can only use one faction of your choice, though, to get points for this, okay? So I already gave feedback to Plarium that they might need to flag this so we actually notice that it's a faction only tournament. Obviously you can read it right here, but you know, sometimes you don't read the small print and you just go ahead and farm the dungeon and you don't get any points and then you end up wasting energy. So the reason why they don't have a banner here, so you know, in the past we had, you know, faction only tournaments as well, but they were from a specific faction, right? So you had the faction banner on this tournament tab, but now that you can pick your own faction, like of your choice, they don't have a banner here. So yeah, already gave the feedback to Plarium. They said they're gonna you know, send it to the team, and then they will probably tag this somehow so you can actually see when it's one of those special tournaments. Now there are a few options to do this, and I'm going to show you two of them that I'm doing. As you can see, I already farmed a little bit of points here, and the champion that I'm using here is Edward. Okay, Edward seems to be working here to solo the stage 20 of Fire Night. Maybe he can even solo up to stage 25, but that's where he's weak affinity. But yeah, he definitely can do it. So let's actually go into the fight. So yeah, why solo stage 20? Basically because you cannot solo stage hard, right? Stage 10 hard, right? It's not possible. I don't think any champion can do it. So maybe you can assemble a team for hard 10, but with the fact that we also have a champion training event right now where you can also get points for the Titan event, I figured I might as well just farm 20 and level some food and, you know, get points, double dip points here for two events and tournaments, and that's exactly what we want to do here. So as you can see, Edward is just making sure that almost no enemies taking a turn, which is also not really ideal because then the allies don't die and he doesn't really, you know, the run is not really that fast. And as weird as it sounds, that's kind of a downside of Edward. But yeah, so the main goal here is just to, you know, decrease the turn meter of the Fire Knight with the A1 over and over again. Okay, that is kind of the main goal here, and that's exactly what we're doing, and it works pretty well. Now you have to know that I don't have Giant Slayer on Edward here. I did farm a little bit of masteries until the T5 masteries, so he has some. He also has the 5-star soul, which helps a lot, but I don't think you actually need a lot of stats. I will show you my stats in a second. I think it's a little bit of an overkill. You don't really need that much damage. All you really need is the speed, enough damage. Now, what enough is, I don't really know, but like I said, the speed, accuracy, and then as much damage as possible, I would say, okay? That is all you have to care about. And there we go. About 2 minutes is what the run should be, and it's done. Now, like I said, if you have Giant Slayer, this will be a little bit faster on the boss, and, you know, should also make it a lot safer. Now, here's the build that I used in this run, and I have a, you know, a little bit of weaker build that I'm going to show you so you can get a feel of, you know, what is actually possible, but you can also try out yourself. I think, you know, I think it should work with a lot less stats. Okay, so I have him in Merciless Zeo, but like I said, this is like the, you know, if you're trying to make it faster, okay, if you're trying to push the damage. So these are the stats, Merciless and Zeo. Let me actually add the area bonus. I forgot about that. So yeah, 286 speed, 7.4k attack, and 410% crit damage. Now, like I said, you don't need all that crit damage. You don't need all that attack. You know, the main thing that you have to pay attention to here is the speed and the accuracy is also way too high. You can, if you hit like 250, that's totally fine, okay? Anything between like 220, 250 should be totally fine. And then, crit capped and about like 280 speed, okay? And then as much attack and crit damage as possible. The more damage you get on him, the faster the run will probably be, okay? So I have the Thunderbolt Spear on him. The gemstones don't really matter that much. He's not even booked. I only have one book into the A3, which I'm not really using anyway. So, you don't really need to book him. And also no T6 masteries. I have this Spirit Haste, where he gains 8 speed for each dead ally. But the allies are not dying, so it also doesn't help, as well as the kill streak. The kill streak does help, but this one, no, which one is it? Here, this one, Wrath of the Slain, increases damage inflicted by 5% for each dead ally. That also doesn't really help, that much, because the allies are not dying, like I said. So theoretically, you could go for something else, doesn't really matter, but I think this right here, the Giant Slayer for the A1, would speed it up massively, okay? That's what I would go for. Now let me show you the other build, which I got here. It's pretty much a Savage build with crit rate gauntlets, okay? So these are the stats for the other build. Here is a little bit faster, but I don't think he needs to be that fast. Like I said, 280 is totally fine. 6.7k attack, 300 crit damage, and like I said, 250 accuracy is more than enough. All right, so in a Savage set, I also don't think he needs to be in a Savage set, but it might, it just makes it faster, okay? Now, let me see. Let's just run it like this. So this should take a little bit longer, I guess, because he's not dealing that much damage. As you can see, they're not dying instantly. But as soon as they die, the passive of Edward will, decrease the turn meter of everyone. So that's kind of like why they are not taking any turns. And he also puts them to sleep and snare and, a lot of turn meter control here from Edward. So yeah, it will take a little bit longer, like I said, also in the other run, because the allies are not dying, right? So yeah, that's kind of like a little issue here. But as long as you can get it done, and you can be more efficient with your energy, farm 20. Oh, we're actually losing some allies here, which is good, right? That's good. Maybe the run will be a little bit faster. All right, let's see. As you can see, the Phantom Touch also very helpful. And we are decreasing the turn meter. Oh, the Fire Knight is actually taking a turn, but I don't think it matters. I don't think it matters. I think the reason why he took a turn there is because the A1 doesn't have a 100% chance to decrease the turn meter, right? Because it's not booked. It is at 75%, okay? So it doesn't always decrease the turn meter, but as you can see, it doesn't really matter, right? So yeah. And now, it's just about Edward using the A1. The Fire Knight will never take a turn. Okay, that is kind of like the main strategy here. And some of you might be familiar with this with Allure. And Allure does it actually a little bit faster than this Edward. Okay, Allure can actually, do it faster, which is kind of surprising to me. But I guess another thing, I have masteries on Allure, and also the allies are dying in the first wave. And that makes it a lot faster too, okay? So I guess that all of that plays into it, but in case you don't have an Allure build, or for whatever reason you have, I don't know, better stats for Edward, better gear for Edward, then, this is another option that you could do. A little bit over 2 minutes now. Yeah, 2.5 minutes with this build, okay? So this is the Allure that I'm using. Basically, I have the same gear. Like, I just swapped my Allure gear on Edward, and it worked the same way, right? Just here, you will see that, the allies will die before we reach the boss, okay? That is kind of like the thing that speeds it all up. Also, Yeah, Allure is a little bit different, right, with the A1s, and she also places decreased defense, the small version with the A2. So she does deal a little bit more damage here and there, but yeah, she also has faster animations, very fast A1, and then she just cranks out the A1s here, okay, on the finite as well. Same thing as we saw with Edward, just with the difference that she has Giant Slayer. As you can see, it procs all the time. We are already like halfway through, and we're only a minute in. Okay, so Allure is definitely here, much faster, and a big reason why it is the Giant Slayer mastery. Okay, and there we go, 1 minute and 14, absolutely no problem. Like I said, Allure has, pretty much the same gear as the other Edward build, the first one that I showed you. Merciless Zeal, 289 speed, almost 7k attack, 388 crit damage, and, way too much accuracy, okay? Now for her, I have the Tempus Sanguinis relic, which increases the turn meter reduction. That does help on the A1, right? Giant Slayer masteries, Spirit Haste, obviously. And yeah, she's completely booked, okay? And also Phantom Touch. But yeah, this is pretty interesting. If you, use that on Edward, that would make sense as well. So you keep the turn meter down, right? So yeah, whatever you're gonna use, both works, okay? Let me actually find some new food here. But I found it quite interesting that Edward can do it without books, right? Without books and without the T6 masteries. So yeah, that might be an option for you. I thought, maybe a lot of you guys have Edward ready to go, and why not do that? And yeah, guys, that's pretty much it for this video. I hope this was helpful. Like I said, make sure to use one faction only when you use food with these champions, when you're trying to solo the Fire Knight. And that way you can make sure you get points for it and not waste any energy, okay? So with that being said, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you enjoyed, please smash that like button. Also subscribe to the channel if you want to see more raid content. If you like this video, YouTube's gonna think that you like this one as well. Take care and see you in the next one.